Horror Rewind. This is Kelly Florence.
And I'm Meg Hofdahl.
And today we're talking about the horror shorts block from the North by North International Film Festival.
Woohoo!
Woo! Okay, if you didn't know, and you should know because I've been talking about it, we had recently a film festival here in Duluth, Minnesota called the North by North International. And I was able to program the horror shorts block. And this was such a joy, Meg. And didn't you just love watching these?
Yes. So can you kind of talk about the process of when people submit horror shorts and how that all goes?
Absolutely. So it's amazing because anybody from anywhere, especially people who may not traditionally be, like through the pipeline of Hollywood, so to speak, could submit to this festival. And we really were encouraging people of underrepresented communities, underrepresented voices, diverse voices to show us what they got in all sorts of genres. But the horror one in particular was obviously what I was focused on. And so we got to watch a bunch of movies that were submitted, and not everything was able to get in, of course. And that's the sad part, is that sometimes you have to say no. And don't worry, friends, it's not maybe necessarily because your film was bad or we didn't believe in your vision, but you just can't accept every single film, because we would have been here for weeks instead of a week. So
good point.
Keep making those horror films, friends. But the ones, it was a nice tight block of just less than an hour of all these horror shorts that we got to screen. And I will highlight a couple of my, I love them all, but a couple of my favorites. There's one by Megan Fitzgerald called Reunion, and it is just a piece of brilliant filmmaking, storytelling, world building, and I can't remember the runtime now, but I feel like it was 17 minutes or something. And
yeah, it's not very long.
Was fully immersed in that world, and I want to see more immediately.
I know. It's she's a talented filmmaker, and she goes by M.R. Fitzgerald, I think is like her filmmaking name. And we got the chance to meet her in Atlanta. Well, we had met her before, but in Atlanta, because she's a Minnesota filmmaker. But we got to sort of talk to her about horror films there. And seeing her work was so cool. That was my first time seeing something that she had done. And she's super talented, and look out for her, because it's like this post-apocalyptic world, and it felt like kind of Walking Dead-ish, but very fresh, and I just thought she did an excellent job.
Yeah, like we were talking about the color, the tone, the music, the soundtrack, everything was just so polished, so amazing, and I can't wait to see what she does next. Another filmmaker that we actually had met in New York. Meg, do you want to talk about Tooth Fairy?
Yeah, so Peyton is this amazingly talented writer, and she's also a filmmaker, and we met her in New York. She came to one of our presentations for Science of Stephen King, I think. Or no.
It was a combined event.
That's right. It was, yeah. Anyway, and we ended up interviewing her for Science of Witchcraft, because she wrote a fascinating thesis on sort of witchcraft in modern cinema. So it was really good, and so we wanted to pick her brain. But yeah, we saw her film. This is like first time seeing anything that she's done filmmaking wise, and just a really quick, vicious movie. I loved it. I mean, what isn't scary about the idea of teeth, having anything to do with teeth? And it kind of had this sort of like, I don't know, catfish angle to it. So it's very interesting.
Yes. I think, like you were just saying, it's always cool to, like, we happen to know people, or like they're in the horror world adjacent, or we know them through something else, and then to see or read or participate in their work for the first time, it's such a joy.
It is. It really is. And it makes you feel like, okay, there's so many up-and-coming people who are going to continue this tradition of horror storytelling. So, yeah, it makes you smile.
Now, I am pulling up the the rest of the names because I don't want to leave anybody out or forget anybody. But another... Man, my voice is crap. You know why it's crap, you guys?
Why?
Because we've been watching the Ghoulies movies and laughing and screaming, and my voice is gone.
We love the Ghoulies so much that every time they're on screen, we scream. So, especially when we've had a few.
Yeah, my voice is crap. Okay, there's this beautiful film that we got to watch. It's only 13 minutes long. It's called Jane's Comet.
Oh, yeah.
And it was directed by somebody from the Twin Cities area named Peter Groynham. I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing names wrong. That was really haunting and beautiful, and also like a fully realized world just within moments. You knew.
Yes. And some really just beautiful space imagery, queer couple. So there was just a lot of neat elements to it. It had a really cool science element, and we're science nerds, so we like that, of course.
Also, there's this really cool micro short by somebody else who we got to see the work of,
Debbie.
And she wrote it, and Robbie Burns directed.
Yes. Just a minute. And it was in that... not festival, but competition run by Nyx.
Yes.
And so it was able to show on Shudder shortly, I know. So that was very cool. Just a minute long. But I like that concept of like making a horror movie in a minute. That's a really cool challenge, and I'd like to try it someday. It's kind of like the whole thing of like, you know, a 3-word short story or like, you know, or 6 words or whatever. I like the challenge of having to just pare everything down to this one little perfect moment.
I'm going to mention some other short films that we saw or programmed. There's a little 2-minute movie called And Again, director out of Thunder Bay named Joseph Schlapsy. There's this really kind of cool and eerie short. It's only 6 minutes long by Anthony Shirk, and it's called Light on the Way Back. And it's like, what's going on here? Oh, yeah, the one directed by Robbie Barnes and Debbie wrote is called Hereafter. That's the micro short. There's this really amazing experimental David Lynchian film by a filmmaker named Monica Estrella Negra, and it's called Bitten, a Tragedy.
I like that one.
And it is like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
It's very, I guess, what you'd call art house, or like, you know, it's not your sort of typical narrative film. But it was, the experimental aspect of it was really cool visuals, and just loved it. Very neat.
Also, another Minnesota filmmaker named Wesley Johnson, he directed this nice, just 11-minute short called Displacement.
Oh, yeah.
And the actress in it, I'm not going to give anything away, but the actress in it, she is so great. And I think we're just going to see her do amazing things.
Oh, yeah. That was really interesting, and it had like the psychological twist I like.
And then there's also another Minnesota. God, wow, Minnesota. Here we go. This director called Carlos Omar de Leon. He made this short. It's 7 minutes, and it's called They Return. And I had the opportunity to watch several of his short films recently, and like, I'm a huge fan, so I can't wait to see what he does next.
He has the eye, that's for sure.
Now, it's so funny because we watched so many movies in so many days. I was talking about Jane's Comet, and that was in the sci-fi blog, Meg. I'm so confused because we watched so many movies.
That's okay. I mean, the thing is, like, hopefully everyone who came went and saw all sorts of different, you know, movies. And hopefully, like, we're just inspiring people to go see Jane's Comet. So I'm wondering, do you know if, like, some of these are on Vimeo? If some of these you can see at other festivals? Do you know anything like that?
You know, so I'm not sure exactly where to find everything, but I would say, mention the filmmakers that we mentioned. If they are available to watch, I'm sure you can just search their Vimeo or YouTube or wherever they have it in the world and find it there, because it's so great. It's so cool. And it's inspired me just in this process so much to support indie filmmakers, support shorts, and we got to go make our own.
I know, we got to be creative. And, you know, I think that I think that's kind of the best thing you can get out of watching indie horror films. It's like, hey, this team worked together and they made something really cool, and it's possible. So I freaking love it.
I love it too.
I'm just proud of you for curating this block of horror.
Oh, thank you. And it's so much. Oh, don't you just love being in a theater with horror fans
Yes,
again? Like, it feels like it's been a long time.
I know. We've all been home watching horror movies by ourselves, which is what our teenage years look like.
Yeah.
So
now it's time to get out and about. Okay, I'm going to go rest my voice, friends. Until next time, we'll see you in the horror section. Want to say bye, Meg?
Oh, I'm already drinking my beverage. Bye.
Let's go.